The cold bit through Elara's cloak before dawn ever touched the horizon. She fell to her knees in the snow and didn't get up. Her breath came in shallow clouds. Her fingers had stopped hurting an hour ago. Maybe 2. Time didn't hold shape anymore. The packlands ended 3 miles back. She'd crossed the boundary stones at midnight, cast out by voices that wouldn't hear her truth, condemned by a council that had already decided. Traitor. The word still burned in her chest. She pressed her palm into the snow. The cold felt clean. Final. If she stopped here, if she let the winter take her, maybe that would be enough. A low growl rolled through the trees behind her. Elara's head snapped up. Not a rogue. She would have smelled decay. This scent was pine and smoke and something sharper, something that made her wolf stir even as her body failed. She turned slowly. Golden eyes watched from the shadow of the pines, huge, unblinking. Her pulse stuttered. No, not him. The alpha stepped into the clearing, still in wolf form, fur black as midnight and shoulders broad enough to block the wind. His presence filled the air like a storm about to break. Thorne. Elara's throat tightened. You shouldn't be here. He didn't move, didn't shift, just watched her with those burning eyes. Eyes that had sentenced her yesterday in the council hall without a word of defense. She forced herself to stand. Her legs shook. I'm past the border. You have no authority here. The wolf's ears flicked forward. She saw the tension in his shoulders, the way his claws dug into the frozen ground. He was fighting something. Good. Let him fight it. Elara turned her back on him and took one step north. Then another. The world tilted. She caught herself on a tree trunk, gasping. Her vision blurred at the edges. She heard the shift behind her, the crack of bone, the rustle of fur giving way to skin. Stop. His voice was rough, a command wrapped in something that almost sounded like desperation. Elara didn't look back. Go home, Thorne. You won't survive the night. That's not your concern anymore. Silence stretched between them. She could feel the weight of his gaze on her back, could feel the pull that had always existed between them, the thing she'd tried to ignore for months before everything shattered. The bond, the one thing the council's decree couldn't erase. I didn't vote for exile, Thorne said quietly. Elara laughed. It came out bitter. You didn't vote against it either. The evidence was planted. She turned now, anger giving her strength she didn't have. But you didn't ask. You didn't question. You just stood there and let them throw me out. Thorne stood 10 feet away, human now, wearing only the leather pants he must have tied to his leg before shifting. His chest was bare despite the cold. Scars crossed his ribs, reminders of battles won. He looked like a king. He looked like the man she'd almost let herself trust. I couldn't stop them, he said. You're the alpha. You could have done anything. His jaw tightened. The council has power too, if I'd challenged them without proof. So you let them destroy me instead. Something flashed in his eyes. Pain, maybe. Or regret. It didn't matter. Elara turned again. Go back to your pack, Your Majesty. I'm done. She made it 3 more steps before her knees buckled. Thorne caught her before she hit the ground. His arms locked around her waist, pulling her back against his chest. Heat radiated from his skin. Too much heat, the kind that came with the bond trying to knit itself tighter. Let go, Elara whispered. No, Thorne, you're freezing. His voice was low, strained. Your lips are blue. She tried to pull away. I don't need your help. His grip tightened, not painful, just immovable. You're dying. Then let me die with dignity. No. The word came out rough, final. Elara felt her resistance crumble, not because she wanted his help, but because her body was shutting down and she couldn't fight both him and the cold. Thorne shifted his hold, lifting her into his arms like she weighed nothing. She should have fought harder, should have screamed or clawed or done something. but the warmth of his chest against her cheek felt like the first kind thing the world had offered in days, and she was so God's damned tired. "I hate you," she murmured. Thorne's arms tightened around her. "I know." He started walking. Not south, back toward the Packlands. North, deeper into the borderlands. Elara's eyes drifted closed. She felt the steady rhythm of his heartbeat against her ear. Felt the bond hum between them like a living thing, whispering lies about safety and home. "Why are you doing this?" she asked. Thorne didn't answer for a long moment. When he finally spoke, his voice was barely above a whisper. "Because I can't watch you die. You already did." "Not like this." Elara didn't have the strength to argue. The world blurred around her, snow and trees and the pale suggestion of dawn breaking over the mountains. She felt Thorne's pace quicken, felt the tension in his body as he scanned the forest. He was afraid. The Alpha King. Afraid. The thought almost made her laugh. "There's a cave," Thorne said. "Half a mile ahead. I'll get you warm. Then I'll leave if you want." Liar. He wouldn't leave. She could feel it in the way he held her, in the way the bond pulled tighter with every step. Whatever he told himself, whatever duty he thought he owed the pack, the truth was simpler. He couldn't let her go, and that made him just as trapped as she was. Elara let her head rest against his shoulder, just for a moment. Just until the world stopped spinning. "I didn't do it," she whispered. Thorne's steps faltered. "What?" "The things they accused me of. Selling pack secrets. Conspiring with the Eastern clans." Her voice cracked. "I didn't do any of it." His arms tightened. "I know." The words hit her like a blow. Elara's eyes opened. "What?" But Thorne didn't answer. He just kept walking, jaw set, eyes fixed on the path ahead. And Elara realized with a cold, sinking certainty that he'd known all along. He'd known she was innocent. And he'd let them exile her anyway. The cave was smaller than Thorne had promised. Dark and damp and smelling faintly of moss and old stone. But it was shelter. That was all that mattered. He set Elara down carefully near the back wall, where the ground was driest. She didn't fight him, didn't speak, just watched him with those hollow, burning eyes as he moved to the entrance and began gathering fallen branches from the snow outside. The silence between them felt heavier than the cold. Thorne worked quickly. His hands knew the motions, stacking kindling, striking flint, coaxing flame from nothing. The fire caught on the third try, small and fragile at first, then spreading into something that pushed back the darkness. He glanced over his shoulder. Elara hadn't moved. She sat against the stone with her knees drawn up, arms wrapped tight around herself, shivering so hard her teeth chattered. "Come closer," Thorne said. She didn't. He turned fully, jaw tight. "You'll freeze if you stay back there." "Good." The word was quiet, flat, and it made something crack inside his chest. Thorne crossed the space between them in 2 strides. He crouched in front of her, close enough that she could hit him if she wanted to. Close enough that the bond flared hot and desperate between them. "Don't do that," he said. Elara's eyes lifted. "Do what?" "Give up." Her laugh was bitter. Broken. "You're the one who gave up on me." The accusation hung in the air like smoke. Thorne's hands curled into fists. "I didn't have a choice." "Everyone has a choice. Not when you're king." Elara's gaze burned into his. "Then maybe you shouldn't be." The words hit him like claws. Sharp, true, and gods. He didn't have an answer for them. He reached for her arm. She jerked back. "Don't touch me. You're freezing." "I said, don't." Thorne stilled. His wolf snarled inside him, demanding he close the distance, wrap her in his arms, force her to accept the warmth and safety he could give. But he knew better. He'd already taken too much from her. So he stood, moved back to the fire, shrugged out of his cloak and laid it on the ground between them. Use it or don't, he said. But if you die of cold just to spite me, I'm bringing you back and making you deal with the headache. Elara stared at the cloak, then at him. For a long moment, she didn't move. Then, slowly, she reached out and dragged the fabric toward her, wrapped it around her shoulders. The relief in her face was almost painful to watch. Thorne turned back to the fire, added another branch. Let the flames grow. You said you knew, Elara said. Her voice was quiet. Dangerous. Thorne didn't turn. I did. Then why didn't you stop it? Because I had no proof. You're the Alpha King, and the Council holds half the power in this pack. He exhaled slowly. If I'd challenged them without evidence, they would have forced a vote. Split the pack down the middle. We'd be at civil war by now. So you sacrificed me instead. Thorne's hands tightened on the branch in his grip. Yes. The honesty of it seemed to surprise her. She went silent. He finally turned to face her. I told myself it was temporary, that I'd find the proof I needed and bring you back before the first snow, that you were strong enough to survive a few weeks in the borderlands. You were wrong. I know. Elara pulled the cloak tighter. Who framed me? Thorne hesitated. The answer sat bitter on his tongue, but she deserved the truth. Cade. Her breath caught. Your beta? Yes. Why? I don't know yet. Thorne crouched by the fire again, eyes on the flames. But I've been watching him. Small things that didn't add up. Messages that disappeared. Meetings he thought I didn't know about. And you didn't think to tell me? I didn't know for sure until the night before they exiled you. His voice dropped. I found letters in his quarters. Correspondence with the Eastern clans. Promises of territory and influence in exchange for pack secrets. Elara's face went pale. He's the traitor. Yes. And he let them blame me. Yes. She laughed. But there was no humor in it. Just rage. Just pain. You knew. And you still let them send me out here to die. Thorne met her eyes. I didn't have enough to prove it. Not yet. If I'd accused Cade without solid evidence, he would have turned the pack against me. And you'd still be exiled, but with no one left to clear your name. So I'm bait. No. Then what am I? Thorne's jaw worked. You're the woman I was supposed to protect. The bond pulsed between them. Hot. Undeniable. Elara's eyes narrowed. You feel it too. It wasn't a question. Thorne didn't answer. Didn't need to. The truth was written in every line of his body. In the way he'd tracked her through the snow, the way he couldn't leave, even when she'd begged him to. How long? She asked. 3 months. Her breath hitched. 3. Since the summer hunt. His voice was rough. Raw. You were tracking that bull elk through the western woods. I came around the ridge and saw you, and the bond snapped into place so hard I thought I was dying. Elara stared at him. You never said anything. You were already bonded to a man who died 2 years ago. And I wasn't going to be the bastard who pushed you before you were ready. Thorne's hands clenched. Then Cade made his move. And I had to choose between claiming you and protecting the pack. You chose the pack. I chose to keep you alive. His voice turned fierce. If I'd claimed you that night, if I'd challenged the council and lost, Cade would have made sure you disappeared. No exile, no trial, just gone. Elara's throat worked. So you sent me out here instead. I sent you out here because it was the only way to buy time. Thorne leaned forward, eyes blazing. And I've been tracking you every god's damn night since. Watching, waiting, making sure nothing touched you. The rogues. I've killed 5 packs in the last 2 weeks. His voice dropped to a growl. Anyone who came within a mile of you, I tore apart. The fire crackled between them. Elara's hands shook. You can't do this. Watch me. You're the Alpha King. You have responsibilities. And you're my mate. The word came out raw, desperate. Do you think I care about a crown if you're dead? Elara shook her head. This is insane. I know. We can't. I know. Thorne, I know. He rose to his feet, pacing the length of the cave like a caged wolf. I know it's impossible. I know the pack will never accept it. I know Cade will use it against me the moment he finds out. He stopped, turned, met her eyes. But I can't walk away from you. The confession hung between them. Elara's face crumpled. I hate you for this. I know. I hate that you knew. I hate that you didn't fight for me. I hate that you're here now, acting like you have the right to. I don't, Thorne's voice cracked. I don't have the right to anything. But I'm here anyway, and I'm not leaving until I've cleared your name and put Cade in the ground where he belongs. Elara's breath came fast, shallow. The bond pulled tight between them, demanding, aching. She closed her eyes. What happens after? After? When this is over, when my name is cleared and Cade is dead. Her voice dropped to a whisper. What happens to us? Thorne crossed the space between them, knelt in front of her. Didn't touch. But gods, he wanted to. That's your choice, he said. Not mine. Elara opened her eyes, stared at him. And for the first time since he'd found her in the snow, she didn't look away. The silence stretched between them. Outside, wind howled through the pines, relentless. Elara's fingers curled against the stone beneath her. Her pulse hammered in her throat. Too fast, too loud. She could feel him waiting for her to say something. Anything. But the words wouldn't come, because what he'd said, what he'd confessed, it changed nothing, and it changed everything. Thorne shifted his weight, still kneeling, still close enough that she could feel the heat rolling off him in waves. Say something, he murmured. Elara swallowed hard. I don't know what you want me to say. The truth. She let out a bitter laugh. The truth? The truth is that you're asking me to forgive the unforgivable. Her voice shook. You knew I was innocent. You knew, and you let them cast me out anyway. To keep you alive. To keep yourself in power. The accusation tore out of her before she could stop it. Thorne flinched. Is that what you think? I don't know what to think anymore. He stood abruptly, turned away. His shoulders were rigid, tense. For a long moment, he didn't speak. Then, quietly, if you think I wanted this, you don't know me at all. Elara's throat tightened. Maybe I don't. The fire flickered between them. Shadows danced across the cave walls. Thorne's hands flexed at his sides. I've made a lot of mistakes in my life, he said. Most of them I can live with. But letting you walk into that exile, his voice cracked. That's the one that's going to haunt me until I die. Elara's chest ached. She hated how much his words hurt, hated how much she wanted to believe them. You should have fought, she whispered. I know. You should have stood up to the council, challenged Cade, done something. I know. Instead, you chose the easy way out. Thorne turned. His eyes burned gold in the firelight. There was nothing easy about it. The bond flared hot between them, demanding, insistent. Elara's breath hitched. She forced herself to look away. I can't do this. Can't do what? This. She gestured between them. Whatever this is. I can't let you in. Not after everything. Thorne took a step toward her. Stopped. I'm not asking you to. Then what are you asking? For a chance. His voice dropped. A chance to prove I'm not the monster you think I am. Elara's hands trembled. And if I say no, then I'll still clear your name. I'll still kill Cade. And when it's done, he paused. I'll walk away. Her chest constricted. You'd do that? If that's what you want. She stared at him, searching his face for the lie, for the crack in the armor. But all she saw was raw, unfiltered truth. It terrified her, because she wanted to hate him, wanted to push him away and never look back. But the bond wouldn't let her, and gods help her. Neither would her heart. I don't trust you, she said quietly. I know. I don't forgive you. I know, but... She hesitated. Her voice broke. I don't want you to walk away. Thorne's eyes widened. Just a fraction. He crossed the space between them in 2 strides, dropped to his knees in front of her again. This time, he reached out. His hand hovered over hers, waiting, asking permission. Elara's breath caught. For a heartbeat, she didn't move. Then, slowly, she turned her palm up. His fingers closed around hers, warm, steady. The bond flared bright. I'm going to fix this, Thorne said. His voice was fierce, certain. I swear to you, I'm going to make this right. Elara's throat worked. How? We go back. Together. His grip tightened. We expose Cade for what he is. We show the council the truth. They won't listen. They will when I make them. And if they don't? Thorne's smile was sharp. Dangerous. Then I burn the whole system down. Elara's pulse jumped. You can't? I can. And I will. His eyes blazed. I've spent 10 years upholding a system that was already broken, playing by rules that only protect the corrupt. He leaned closer. But I'm done pretending, done sacrificing what matters for the sake of tradition. Thorne, you matter, he said. More than the crown, more than the council, more than any of it. Elara's eyes stung. Don't say things like that. Why not? Because it makes it harder to stay angry at you. His mouth quirked, just barely. Good, she wanted to argue, wanted to pull her hand away and rebuild the walls he was so carefully dismantling. But she was so tired. Tired of fighting, tired of running, tired of being alone. I'm scared, she admitted. Thorne's expression softened. Of me? Of this. She glanced down at their joined hands. Of what happens if I let myself believe you? Then don't believe me yet. His thumb brushed over her knuckles. Just let me stay. Let me prove it. Outside, the wind began to ease, the storm's fury fading to something quieter. Elara closed her eyes, took a shaky breath. When she opened them again, Thorne was still there, still waiting. One chance, she said, his eyes locked on hers. One chance. You mess this up, I'm gone, and I won't come back. Understood. And if you're lying to me, her voice turned cold. If this is some kind of game, I will make you regret it. Thorne's smile was faint, sad. If I'm lying, I'll deserve whatever you do to me. Elara studied him for a long moment. Then, slowly, she nodded. Okay. The tension in Thorne's shoulders eased. Relief flickered across his face. He lifted her hand, pressed his forehead to her knuckles. The gesture was reverent, desperate. Thank you, he murmured. Elara's chest tightened. She didn't trust herself to speak. For a while they stayed like that, silent, still. The fire burned low. The storm outside faded to nothing, and somewhere deep in Elara's chest, something brittle began to soften. She wasn't ready to forgive him, wasn't ready to trust. But maybe, just maybe, she was ready to try. Thorne lifted his head, met her eyes. We leave at first light, he said. Elara nodded. Together. Together. The words settled between them like a promise. And for the first time since her exile began, Elara let herself hope. If you'd like to see where this journey leads them next, I'd love for you to like and subscribe. They left the cave at dawn. The storm had passed, left behind a world scrubbed clean and glittering. Elara moved carefully through the deep snow, every step deliberate. Thorne stayed close, not crowding, just present. She didn't tell him to leave. That felt like progress. The forest was too quiet. Elara noticed it first. The absence of birdsong, the stillness that wasn't peaceful. It was watchful. Thorne's posture shifted, shoulders back, head tilted. "What is it?" she asked. "I'm not sure." His voice was low, controlled. "But we're not alone." Her pulse kicked up. "Rogues?" "No." His eyes scanned the tree line. "These aren't wild. They're trained." A chill ran down her spine that had nothing to do with the cold. "Hunters!" Thorne's jaw tightened. "Stay behind me. I can fight." "I know." He glanced back at her. "But let me do this." Before she could argue. Movement. 3 figures emerged from the trees ahead. Cloaked, armed. Not pack wolves, mercenaries. Elara's stomach dropped. The lead hunter stepped forward, face hidden beneath the deep hood. "Elara Frost." His voice was rough, amused. "You're harder to find than we expected." "Who sent you?" she demanded. "Does it matter?" Thorne moved, placed himself fully between her and the hunters. His presence shifted, became something darker, more dangerous, the alpha rising to the surface. "Leave," he said. One word, edged in command. The lead hunter laughed. The Alpha King himself. "This just got interesting. Final warning. We have orders." The hunter's hand moved to the blade at his hip. "The traitor doesn't leave these woods alive." Thorne's eyes flashed gold. "Then you don't leave at all." It happened fast. The hunters moved as one, weapons drawn. Thorne met them with brutal efficiency. Elara had seen him fight before, in sparring matches, controlled demonstrations of strength. This was different. This was lethal. He moved like liquid shadow. Every strike precise, every block calculated. One hunter went down hard, didn't get back up. The second tried to flank him. Thorne caught his wrist mid-swing. Twisted. The crack of bone echoed through the trees. The third hunter hesitated, reassessed. Then his gaze slid past Thorne, locked on Elara. She saw his intent a heartbeat before he moved. Her hand found the branch she'd kept strapped to her pack, makeshift weapon. Better than nothing. The hunter lunged. She sidestepped. Swung hard, caught him across the temple. He staggered, shook his head, came at her again. This time, Thorne was there. He slammed into the hunter with enough force to send them both crashing into the snow. When Thorne stood, the hunter didn't. Silence fell. Elara's breath came fast, ragged. Thorne turned, blood on his knuckles, eyes still glowing faintly. "Are you hurt?" he asked. She shook her head. Couldn't quite find words. He crossed to her in 3 strides, hands moving over her shoulders, her arms, checking for injuries she didn't have. "I'm fine," she managed. His hand stilled, cupped her face. "You're sure?" "Yes." The gold in his eyes faded slowly, back to dark brown. He let out a shaky breath, dropped his forehead to hers. "I thought he'd reach you," he murmured. "He didn't. If he had, but he didn't." She pulled back enough to meet his gaze. "Because you were here." Something shifted in his expression. Relief, gratitude. He nodded, released her, turned back to the fallen hunters. Elara's mind raced. Thorne. Who sent them? "I don't know." He crouched beside the lead hunter, checked his pockets. "But someone wanted you dead badly enough to hire professionals." "The council?" "Maybe." He pulled a folded parchment from the hunter's coat, opened it. His face went hard. "What?" Elara moved closer. "What is it?" Thorne handed her the parchment. It was a contract. Simple. Direct. Elara Frost. Eliminate on sight. No witnesses. Payment on confirmation. And at the bottom, a seal. Not the council's. Elara's blood turned to ice. "That's Cade's seal," she whispered. Thorne's hands clenched into fists. "Your beta," Elara continued, voice shaking, "the one who testified against me at the trial. I know who he is." Thorne. "Why would your beta want me dead?" He didn't answer right away. His jaw worked, mind clearly racing. Then, slowly, understanding dawned in his eyes. "Because you know something," he said, "something that threatens him. Elara's heart hammered. I never think. Thorne gripped her shoulders. Urgent, but not rough. Before the trial, before your exile, what did you see? What did you find? She forced herself to focus, to push past the fear. I was tracking supply shipments, she said slowly, for the winter stores. Some of the numbers didn't match. I thought it was just clerical errors. What kind of errors? Weapons, medicine, food, her breath hitched. Someone was siphoning resources. Small amounts, spread across months. Thorne's expression turned grim. Where were they going? I don't know. I reported it to Cade. Asked him to investigate. And 2 days later, I was accused of conspiring with the enemy. Her voice cracked. Of stealing those same supplies. Cade said he had proof. Witnesses. Thorne closed his eyes. He framed you. To cover his own theft. The pieces fell into place with sickening clarity. He's been selling pack resources, probably to rogues or rival territories. And you found out. Not on purpose. Elara's hands trembled. I was doing my job. Thorne pulled her close, wrapped his arms around her. She didn't resist. I'm sorry, he said into her hair. I should have questioned it, should have dug deeper. You trusted him. That's no excuse. She pulled back, met his gaze. What do we do now? Thorne's expression hardened, became the Alpha King she remembered. Decisive. Unyielding. We go back, he said. Elara's stomach dropped. To the pack? Yes. Thorne, they exiled me. If I return, you return with me. His hand found hers, squeezed. And I'll make sure everyone knows the truth. Cade won't go down quietly. I know. He's your beta. Your second. People trust him. Then I'll prove he doesn't deserve that trust. Thorne's thumb brushed over her knuckles. I won't let him hurt you again. I won't let anyone hurt you. Elara wanted to believe him. Wanted to trust that it would be that simple. But she'd learned the hard way that truth didn't always win. What if they don't believe you? She asked quietly. They will. How can you be sure? His eyes locked on hers, blazing with certainty. Because I'll stake my crown on it. Her breath caught. Thorne, if the pack won't hear the truth, then they don't deserve to be led by someone who knows it. His voice was steady. Absolute. I choose you. Over the throne, over the council, over all of it. Tears pricked her eyes. She blinked them back. You can't mean that. I've never meant anything more. The forest was silent around them, the bodies of the hunters already dusted with fresh snow. Elara looked down at their joined hands, then back up at Thorne. Okay, she whispered. Relief flooded his face. We go back, she continued. Together. And we end this. Thorne lifted her hand, pressed a kiss to her knuckles. Together, he agreed. And for the first time since her exile began, Elara felt like she was walking toward something, not running away. The storm hit before they could move. One moment the forest was quiet. The next, the world turned white. Wind screamed through the trees. Snow came sideways, thick and blinding. Elara raised an arm to shield her face, but it wasn't enough. We can't travel in this, Thorne shouted over the gale. She nodded, tried to say something back. The wind swallowed her words. Thorne's hand found her elbow, guided her forward. She couldn't see more than a few feet ahead, but he moved with purpose, pulling her through the storm like he knew exactly where to go. Maybe he did. Alpha instincts ran deeper than human sight. They stumbled through the blizzard for what felt like hours. In reality, it was probably minutes. Time stretched and blurred when you couldn't see your own feet. Then, shelter. A dark opening in the hillside, low and narrow, but blessedly still. Thorne ducked inside first, pulled her in after him. The wind's roar faded to a muted howl. Elara collapsed against the cave wall, gasping. Her lungs burned from the cold. Her fingers were numb, even through her gloves. Thorne knelt beside her. "Are you hurt?" She shook her head, tried to catch her breath. He studied her face in the dim light filtering through the entrance, then nodded, rose to explore the small space. The cave wasn't much. Shallow, barely tall enough to stand in. But it was dry, and the wind couldn't reach them here. It would have to be enough. Thorne pulled off his pack, started arranging supplies. "We'll wait it out," he said. "Blizzard like this won't last more than a few hours." Elara nodded again, still working on breathing. Her whole body trembled, from cold or adrenaline or the weight of everything that had happened in the last hour. She didn't know. Probably all three. Thorne spread his cloak on the ground, gestured for her to sit. She did, slowly, her muscles protesting. He sat beside her, close enough that she could feel his warmth. For a while, neither of them spoke. Outside, the storm raged. Inside, silence. Elara stared at her hands, still shaking. "You're safe," Thorne said quietly. She almost laughed. "Am I?" "Yes. We're heading back to the place that exiled me, to accuse your beta of treason, with nothing but my word and some missing inventory records." She looked at him. "I don't think safe is the word I'd use." His jaw tightened. "I won't let them hurt you. You keep saying that. Because it's true." She wanted to believe him. God, she wanted to. But belief was a dangerous thing. "What if it's not enough?" she asked. "What if you stand before the council and tell them the truth, and they still choose Cade? Then I walk away." Her breath caught. "Thorne, I mean it." His eyes held hers, steady, certain. If they can't see what's right in front of them, if they'd rather cling to a lie than face the truth, then they don't deserve my loyalty. You'd give up your crown, your pack, everything you've built. For you?" He reached over, tucked a strand of damp hair behind her ear. "Yes." The cave felt smaller suddenly, warmer. Elara's heart pounded against her ribs. "I don't understand," she whispered. "Don't you?" She swallowed. "Thorne, you barely know me. I know enough." "You know what?" His hand lingered near her face, thumb brushing her cheek. "I know you're brave, that you kept going even when you had every reason to give up. I know you're honest. Probably too honest for your own good. I know you didn't deserve what happened to you." Her eyes burned. "That's not—" "And I know," he continued, voice dropping lower, "that from the moment I saw you collapse in the snow, something in me recognized you, claimed you, like I'd been waiting my whole life without knowing what I was waiting for. The bond. She'd felt it too, had been trying to ignore it, to push it down, to pretend it wasn't real. But it was. It hummed between them now. A living thing. Warm and insistent. The mate bond," she said softly. "Yes. You can't just act on that. Not after everything. Why not?" "Because," she struggled for words, "because it's not fair. To either of us." "What if it's just the bond talking? What if without it?" "Elara." He cupped her face in both hands now, gentle, reverent. "The bond didn't make me follow you into exile. It didn't make me question Cade or fight those hunters or choose you over my throne. Those were my decisions, mine. But the bond showed me who you are," he said, "but I'm the one who decided what to do about it." A tear slipped down her cheek. He wiped it away with his thumb. "You don't have to decide anything right now," he murmured. "You don't have to accept it or claim it or even acknowledge it. I need you to know. You're not alone anymore." Her chest ached. "Thorne, and whatever happens when we get back, I'm with you, all the way." She closed her eyes, let herself feel it, the warmth of his hands, the certainty in his voice. the bond singing between them like a thread of light. When she opened her eyes again, he was watching her, waiting, not pushing, not demanding, just there. "I'm scared," she admitted. "I know. What if we fail?" "Then we fail together?" She let out a shaky breath. "That's not very comforting." The corner of his mouth lifted, almost a smile. "No? No. Would you prefer I lie?" "Maybe." He leaned closer, forehead nearly touching hers. "We won't fail," he said, voice low and fierce. "I won't let us. I swear it." And somehow, she believed him. The bond pulsed, stronger now, undeniable. Elara lifted one hand, placed it against his chest, felt his heart beating beneath her palm. Steady, strong. "Thorne." He went very still. "Yes?" She didn't have words for what she felt, for the tangle of fear and hope and want twisting inside her. So she kissed him instead. His breath hitched, hands tightening on her face. Then he kissed her back. Gentle at first, tentative, like he was afraid she'd pull away. She didn't. She leaned into him, fingers curling in the fabric of his shirt, letting herself feel, letting herself want. The bond flared, bright and hot. Thorne made a sound low in his throat, pulled her closer, deepened the kiss, and for a moment, nothing else existed. Not the storm, not the exile, not the danger waiting for them. Just this. Just them. When they finally broke apart, both were breathing hard. Thorne rested his forehead against hers, eyes closed. "Elara, I know," she whispered. I know." Outside, the blizzard howled. But inside the cave, warmth. Elara settled against Thorne's chest, his arms wrapped around her, holding her like she was something precious, something worth fighting for. "We should rest," he murmured into her hair. "Long walk ahead of us tomorrow." She nodded, already drifting, safe. For the first time in weeks, she felt safe. The bond hummed between them, content, settled. And as sleep pulled her under, Elara let herself hope. Maybe they could do this. Maybe truth would be enough. Maybe, just maybe, she'd found something worth coming home for. Even if home didn't want her anymore. Because Thorne did. And right now, that was everything. They left at dawn. The storm had passed during the night, leaving the world wrapped in white silence. Elara's breath clouded in the frozen air as she followed Thorne through the trees. Each step brought them closer. Closer to the pack. Closer to the truth. Closer to whatever judgment waited. Her stomach twisted with nerves. Thorne glanced back at her, slowed his pace. "You're safe with me," he said quietly. "I promise." She wanted to believe that. Tried to hold on to the warmth of last night, the kiss, the bond, the certainty she'd felt in his arms. But daylight made everything sharper, more real. The pack had cast her out, called her traitor, watched her stumble into exile without a word of protest. What made her think they'd listen now? "What if they don't believe us?" she asked. Thorne stopped walking, turned to face her fully. "They will. You don't know that." "I know Cade," he said, voice hard. "I know how he operates. Once we expose him, the rest will fall into place." Elara studied his face, saw the tension there, the anger simmering beneath the surface. He'd trusted Cade, relied on him, given him power, and Cade had betrayed them all. "What if he fights back?" she pressed. "Then I fight harder." Thorne stepped closer, took her hand. "I told you. I'm with you, all the way." The bond pulsed, warm and steady. She squeezed his fingers. "Okay." They walked the rest of the way, in silence. The pack settlement came into view just before midday, smoke curled from chimneys. Voices carried on the cold air. Everything looked the same as it had the day they'd dragged her out. Elara's chest tightened. Thorne's hand found the small of her back. A gentle touch. Grounding. "Stay close," he murmured. They crossed into the clearing. Heads turned. Conversation stopped. Someone shouted, and suddenly the entire pack was staring. At her. At Thorne. At them together. Elara forced herself to keep walking. Chin up. Shoulders back. She wasn't a traitor. Not anymore. Not ever. Cade emerged from the Alpha's hall. His expression shifted when he saw them. Surprise, then calculation, then something darker. "Thorne," he called out, voice smooth and easy. "You're back. We were starting to worry." Thorne didn't smile, didn't soften. "We need to talk." "Of course." Cade's gaze slid to Elara. Cold, assessing. "Though I'm surprised you brought her." "Her name is Elara," Thorne said. Tone like ice. "And she has something to say." Cade's jaw tightened. Just for a moment. Then he smiled. "I'm sure she does." The pack gathered around them. Wary. Curious. Hostile. Elara felt their stares like knives. Thorne stepped forward, addressing the crowd. "Elara was exiled on charges of betrayal," he said. Voice carrying. "Accused of selling pack secrets. Condemned without a fair trial." Murmurs rippled through the assembly. "Those charges were brought by Cade," Thorne continued. "And they were false." Cade laughed, short and sharp. "That's absurd." "Is it?" Elara spoke now. Her voice shook, but held. "You said I met with traitors from the southern clans, that I offered them information in exchange for gold." "Because you did," Cade shot back. "I met with them," Elara agreed, "but not to betray the pack, to gather evidence." Silence fell. She pulled the folded papers from inside her coat, the ones she'd hidden before her exile, the ones she'd shown Thorne in the cave. "I followed you," she said, looking straight at Cade. "For weeks. Watched you meet with outsiders. Heard you offer them details about our patrols, our weaknesses, our stores." Cade's expression darkened. "You're lying." "I have records," Elara said. "Dates, times, names, everything you tried to hide." She held the papers up. "Let the pack see them." "You framed me," she continued, voice stronger now. "Because I was getting too close. Because I was about to expose you." "This is ridiculous," Cade snarled. He turned to Thorne. "You can't possibly believe this. She's desperate. She'll say anything to save herself." Thorne's eyes were cold, unforgiving. "I've read the evidence." Cade stiffened. "I've seen the dates," Thorne said. "Checked them against patrol logs, against my own records." He stepped closer to Cade, towering, dominant. "You sold us out, not her." The crowd erupted, voices shouting, accusing, demanding answers. Cade's mask slipped. For just a heartbeat, Elara saw the truth in his eyes. Rage, desperation, guilt. Then he lunged. Not at Thorne. At her. Elara stumbled back, but Thorne was already moving. He caught Cade mid-strike, slammed him to the ground, held him there with one hand locked around his throat. "Don't," Thorne growled, voice barely human, eyes glowing gold. "Don't you dare," Cade struggled, clawed at Thorne's grip. "You're choosing her," he spat. "Over me, over the pack?" "I'm choosing the truth," Thorne said. "Something you stopped caring about a long time ago." He hauled Cade upright, shoved him toward two of the pack's enforcers. "Take him. Hold him until we convene a proper tribunal." They did. Cade fought and cursed, but he was outnumbered now. The pack watched in stunned silence. Thorne turned to face them, authority radiating from every line of his body. "The council failed," he said, voice ringing out. "They condemned an innocent woman, trusted a traitor. Let fear and suspicion poison our judgment." No one argued. "That ends now," Thorne continued. Elara's exile is revoked. Her name cleared. Anyone who disagrees can take it up with me. He waited, daring someone to challenge him. No one did. Thorne's gaze softened as he turned back to Elara, held out his hand. She took it, fingers trembling. "You're home," he said quietly. "Just for her." Tears burned behind her eyes. She nodded, couldn't speak. The crowd began to disperse, slowly at first, then faster, murmuring amongst themselves, processing, adjusting. Elara stood in the center of it all, Thorne beside her, solid and steady. "What happens now?" she asked. "Now?" Thorne's hand tightened on hers. "We rebuild. Together." She looked up at him, saw the certainty there. The promise. The bond hummed between them, bright and unshakable. "Together?" she echoed. He smiled, small but real. "I need to deal with the council, make sure Cade faces justice." He hesitated. "Will you be all right?" "Yes," she meant it this time. "I will." Thorne leaned down, kissed her forehead, gentle, reverent. Then he left to do what kings do. Elara stood alone in the clearing, watching the pack move around her, still wary, still uncertain, but not hostile, not anymore. It would take time. She knew that. Trust didn't rebuild overnight. But she had time now. She had truth. She had Thorne. And that was enough. One of the younger pack members approached. A girl Elara vaguely remembered. "I'm sorry," the girl said, voice small, "for not speaking up, for believing." Elara's throat tightened. "It's okay." "It's not," the girl insisted, "but I'm glad you're back." She hurried away before Elara could respond. Others followed, slowly, awkwardly, offering apologies, asking questions, trying to make amends. Elara answered as best she could, let herself soften, let herself forgive. By the time Thorne returned, the sun was setting. Painting the snow in shades of gold and pink, he found her at the edge of the settlement, looking out at the forest, at the borderlands that had been her prison. "How'd it go?" she asked. "Cade's in custody," Thorne said. "The council's being restructured. It'll be messy for a while. Most worthwhile things are." He smiled at that, moved to stand beside her, close enough that their shoulders touched. They stood in silence, watching the light fade. "Thank you," Elara said finally, "for believing me, for fighting for me." "Always," Thorne said. Simple, absolute. She turned to face him, reached up, cupped his jaw. "I love you," she whispered, the words spilling out before she could stop them. Thorne went very still, eyes wide. Then he smiled. Slow and brilliant. "I love you too." He kissed her, deep and sure and full of promise. The bond flared between them, complete, undeniable. When they finally pulled apart, the stars were beginning to appear, bright against the darkening sky. Thorne took her hand, laced their fingers together. "Come on," he said, "let's go home." And together, they walked into the heart of the pack, into the warmth and light and life waiting for them, no longer exiled, no longer alone. Just home. If this story stirred something in you, if you felt the cold and the hope and the bond, please like and subscribe. There are more stories waiting.